comes the sun. The land is lush and green and hot. Welcome to the Auckland Unitarian Church, where people have come to worship for the last 115 years. We're celebrating with a short summer solstice service, followed by decorating our sanctuary in preparation for Christmas Eve, then feasting with a shared lunch. If you're visiting for the first time, we have plenty of food to share. We look forward to getting to know you better. My opening words are a retelling of one of the many summer solstice myths, written by Erica Barron, a friend of mine and a minister of the Unitarian Universalist congregation of the Catskills in New York State. The story is told that in the beginning, there were two gods who were brothers, and like many brothers, they struggled with each other for ascendance and power. One brother was the king of the forces of life, light, and warmth. He wore a crown made of green oak branches and brought with him all growth and vitality, fertility and abundance. He was called the Oak King. His brother was king of the forces of death, cold, and darkness. He wore a crown made of the prickly holly branches and brought with him all the withering and decay, stillness and hibernation. He was called the Holly King. The brothers were identical in strength, and so year after year the same pattern was repeated. Each year the Oak King would grow strong and mighty, and during his time of dominance the light would gradually increase, bringing with it warmth and abundance. But each year, at the height of his power, he would be thrown down by the Holly King. In the wake of the Holly King's victory, the light would gradually wane, and as it did, cold would come, and the land would go dormant. But at the height of the Holly King's power, he would be challenged again by the Oak King and would fall, and the cycle would repeat again and again and again. Alone, the brothers were equals, but soon there came a race of beings known as people. The people watched this cycle, and pretty soon they began to take sides. The people loved light and warmth, and they feared the darkness and cold. And so each year they would celebrate the victory of the Oak King, but they would mourn the victory of the Holly King. When the two struggled with each other, the people would lend the strength of their voices and their bodies, their minds and their spirits to the Oak King. But the Holly King was without their support, and so time went by. Over time, the people's adoration of warmth and light only grew, and so they began to invent ever new ways to find light in the darkness and warmth in the cold. And finally, if they wished it, they could spend all of their time in the light they had created, and they could be warm all year long. But their efforts to stay always in the light and the warmth were not without the consequences. Generations passed and generations again, and the people did not at first notice the shifts in the balance. But finally they could ignore it no longer. The people began to notice that darkness was disappearing from the land, driven out by millions of lights the people had created. Animals, birds, plants, even people began to suffer the effects of light unbalanced by darkness. But it was not just darkness that was disappearing. Cold began to flee too. The whole world began to get warmer. Summer began sooner and lasted longer. Ice that had been frozen far longer than the longest memory of the oldest person in the land began to melt. Migrating birds and animals began to be confused about when to begin the migration. Plants found themselves rooted in climates that no longer supplied their needs. The air was changing, and the winds that had brought rain and taken it away again began to flow in unexpected directions, causing drought here and flood there. The people began to see that their support of warmth and light over cold and darkness had altered the balance of the whole world. They began slowly, one at a time, to realize that the Holly King was dying, and for the first time, this thought filled them with fear. What would happen if the balance continued to be destroyed? Could they even survive in a world without the Holy King? Well, in the world of the gods, the Oak King realised it too. And though they had been competitors all these many centuries, he also realised that he loved his brother deeply and could not live without him. The longest day came, and the Oak King and the Holly King met again, but this time the Oak King had no heart for the fight. He laid down his sword and spear. He came open-handed to his brother, who was struggling just to stay on his feet. The Oak King wrapped up the Holly King in a tight embrace. At the moment of his greatest power, the Oak King promised to give some of that power to the Holly King to restore the balance. And together they decided to lend some of their combined power to the people that would help them to heal the earth. We come together this morning as celebrants, as seekers and companions. We enter into this, the longest day, joyfully, allowing ourselves the beauty of this time together in which we may rest our cares and sorrows and allow our hearts and spirits to be uplifted. I invite you to take a deep breath, drink in the beauty and community that surrounds you in this place, and as you release it, become centered here in the now. The summer solstice is a celebration of the longest day and the shortest night of the year. When the sun is at its greatest, it also means that our shadow is at its darkest. Following in our shadow each day are the things we try to push away, things we try to ignore. While our shadow can bring emotions we want to avoid, it also brings strengths we may have forgotten. For me, this means meditation, contemplation, and journaling, really taking the time to distill and render what is useful and what is not. The strong light is also a great time for looking at the world around and its leaders as a mirror, seeing if it really reflects your heart and values. This introspective work is not for everyone, so I've compiled a list of other ways to celebrate the solstice this Wednesday. You could eat outdoors, sleep outdoors, enjoy an outdoor music or theatre performance, have a mini day-long vacation from the TV, from email, using the car, whining, criticising, being demanding. Plant some natives to attract birds into your garden and keep some water sources available and topped up for those animals and birds. Spend time with children, teach them some outdoor games or learn a new one from them. Pick and enjoy the first fresh seasonal produce. Celebrate and share your personal, professional accomplishments and take on a new challenge to learn something new. You could cook a special dish for an overworked family or take someone shopping who no longer drives. These are just a handful of ways to honour the day, all of them totally compatible with a Kiwi summer. Today's guided meditation is designed to connect with our beautiful space, the solid kauri structure which has stood here for 115 years, built from trees grown in a forest for over 100 years before that, the seeds coming from parents even older again. The history is as old as Unitarian itself, as old as Europeans' influence in New Zealand. So get yourself into a comfortable position. Take a few deep breaths and close your eyes. With each breath, release the tension from your body. Relax your head and shoulders, your arms, your chest and back. Feel the tension in your abdomen and legs melt away. Focus your attention on your heart, and within it plant a little cowrie seed. Water it with compassion and unconditional love. Notice a little green shoot growing upwards and roots going down into the ground. As you breathe, the trunk gets thicker, the roots stronger and deeper, the branches higher and greener. Feel the sun above you. Feel the golden rays rain down upon you like a beam of light. Feel the sun energizing and healing your body. Feel it descending through your tree and down to heal Mother Earth. Feel the energy fill this space with the love you feel for all those here. In our multicultural society, there are many holidays this time of year. 29 holidays between Thanksgiving and New Year is a figure I often hear, and I can quite believe it. Each holiday has its traditions, customs, music, and foods to celebrate. In my house, if you do something twice, that means it's a tradition. I hope to have started a new tradition at Auckland Unitarian Church, a tradition that will continue on for generations. We're decorating for the Christmas Eve service is always preceded with this lovely festive melody by Leroy Anderson to get you in the mood.